Doing great today, Evan. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. How about yourself?
Cannot complain. Not yet, anyway.
What's funny? There's a Thunder space going on right now, talking about if they should trade the second pick. And I was listening earlier, and it was some pretty interesting discourse, man. I don't know, their mentality is just so ass backwards. I'm sorry, like I don't know why they're thinking like that. They can have a total stud in Jabari or Paolo, but yeah, that's crazy. I don't know. I'm sorry. I had to voice that.
Yeah, that does seem odd. Feels like the Thunder would. This is the draft where they want to keep that pick. There's a bunch of good big men. They need a big man.
Dude, exactly. And if you really, really, really miss out on one of these top 3 4s, they have to have a backup plan. Somebody has to be like trying to secure a bag. One of these veterans, something like I,
Yeah, I
I mean,
mean, OKC has 17 picks through 17 first round picks through 2026. They've got plenty of backup
that's what I'm
options.
saying. That's what I'm saying. But yo, we're here to talk Spurs and Spurs only. We appreciate everyone stopping by. We're gonna get started today. Is pretty much the start of the discourse. Torrey Eason versus Jeremy Sohan. Okay. Ben and I have gone back and forth. We both love these prospects. They both bring a different intangibles to the team day one, and yeah. So we're gonna get into it. Ben, do you want to start off with anybody?
Yeah, let's talk Tari Eason. I think you and I have spoken at length about Jeremy Sohan. So anybody who has been in one of these spaces before knows that we are high on him. We like him. Number 9 pick. We are definitely good if he lands with the Spurs at number 9. But I don't think we've talked as much about Eason. So let's get started with him.
Definitely. So, way, way, way back when I first started watching film, he reminded me a lot of Jalen Johnson, the Atlanta Hawks. I forgot what overall pick he was. The kid from Duke had a little bit of issues, problems. He's a little taller, 6'9", has a solid. When I say solid handle, it's a okay handle for someone his size. But man, have a guard on him, have somebody that like a Dejounte, like someone that has long arms. It's Rip City. It's where was it? It's 4.6. I had it on my screenshots. 3.6 turnovers per 40 minutes. That is Torrey Eason, and I get it. He's a high flyer. He's could play 3 and 4 and small ball 5. He's that spark plug, that not cocky but confident kid that this team could use. You know what I'm saying? Him and Keldon Johnson would get along right away. And when I'm thinking of a glue piece, there's pieces on this team that can't guard more than multiple positions. Torrey Eason can do that, and he can do that day one. Like he'll be 10, 12 minutes day one and potential starter by the end of the season. So his measurements came back great. The comparisons to Kawhi in his hands were obviously what's the word I want to look for? Astounding. It was astounding to see that because I thought he was really 6'7". I thought he was really a lot skinnier. I thought he was built as he was, but he measured very well. And I don't want to say he's a reach at 9, but the reason why he's fallen on some boards, I want to make this very clear. The reason why he's fallen on some boards is because his ceiling is nowhere near as high as a lot of these other guys' ceilings that are quote unquote project picks. I've seen him fall down to 18, 19, even in the 20s, solely because what he can bring to the table now is no sub creation, no ability to have 15, 16 points a game on every single occasion. He'll have 4-point games, 9-point games. It depends on how many putbacks he has, hustle points, backdoor cuts. I was tweeting Eric Salinas. You guys remember the 2 posters Doug McDermott had? Doug McDermott, he can get up, right? 6'8", he can get up. It was off of a short corner curl. You come around top of the key. No one's in that lane because they're over on the left hand side or the right hand side, and over the top. This kid can jump so high. I think it was 30. I want to say it on top of my head. This thing was 33 inches. Um, it's not official yet. He has to get that going next week. The combine is officially over. All the measurements that you haven't seen, agents are making it very clear they do not want that being put on the internet. They do not want teams. They only want teams to know this kind of stuff because it'll lessen the hype of some of these guys, and that means opportunities for money. That means opportunities for endorsements. And I know it sounds crazy, but like we didn't see Jaden Ivey's measurements. We didn't see any one of the top threes measurements, and that's for a reason. These guys were there. They were doing interviews, and I was retweeting all the what I could, all the what I can for interesting prospects. And obviously, we're not in the midst for the top three, at least for now. But that's something that I want people to remember. Like, there's millions of dollars on the line when it comes down to inches, when it comes down to weight, when it comes down to three more shots more than the last guy. So all this stuff is really important. And remember, these guys are human beings; they're not robots. Okay, so yeah, I know Ben, you have something you want to say, so go ahead.
Yes. So, Nave, we see you. We are going to get you up here in a minute. We're gonna go back and forth with some questions. I'm gonna say my piece on Eason, and then we'll get to you. Um, so, as far as Eason goes, his official listed measurements from the combine: 5.9% body fat, a fantastic number. He's 6'8" even in shoes, and that's the only measurement that matters. You play basketball in shoes. I don't care how tall you are out of your shoes. To me, that's a stupid number, but people love to keep track of it. So 6'8" in shoes. He's got a 7'2" wingspan. So you're talking plus 6 inches. 217 pounds for weight, and then his standing reach is 8 inches or 8 feet and 11.5 inches. Take that for what it's worth. However you want to, however measure those things, however you put weight on them. But Tari Eason, not bad. I think he certainly didn't hurt himself during the combine, so I'm still Team Sohan, but I wouldn't be terribly upset with Eason at 9 now. I came into the combine thinking I don't feel comfortable there with him at 9. I hope somebody either takes him off the board or the Spurs aren't even considering him. But I wouldn't hate what he brings. He's a really good rebounder. He's got a great motor on the boards. He doesn't have a lot of offensive game, but neither does Sohan right now. So you're banking on either of those guys hopefully coming into a role where they guard 3 to 4 different positions, and um, and you're kind of hoping for the best there. But um, let's get to Nave's question. We're gonna bring you in here, assuming I'm pressing the right buttons.
Yeah, toss me,
Once,
toss me a co-host real quick if you don't mind.
yes, of course. All right, Nave, what you got for us?
Hello, good morning, everybody. Thanks you for having me. I'm here from Israel. It's about late afternoon over here. I had a few thoughts. I had thinking about like um, stars, all stars, and guys that just role players. And I think in this class, around the 8th spot, what do you want? What do you think is best for the team? Like a good role player like Tari Eason or Sohan, or maybe if you can get I don't know, AJ Griffin, and you think he can be a star, not an all-star but a star. So you said, you know what? I go for a AJ Griffin or Johnny Davis, because Johnny Davis and Griffin may not be the best role that you need right now, but in a long term, they might be better players.
Yeah, you're spot on. Johnny Davis has star potential. Benedict Mathurin has star potential. While Torrey Easton, like I said earlier, he's slipping down boards solely because his ceiling isn't as high as some of these other guys that are the Usman Jangs of the world, even Nikola Jovic's of the world in like the late 20s. These guys have high ceilings, banking on teams developing over time. That's why you see them linked to like the same OKCs of the world, the same teams that are like the Spurs are known for developing their guys over time and filling them out. When it comes down to it, I love Johnny Davis's game. I love Benedict Matherin's game. But unless there is like some type of sign and trade in the works, I really would like the Spurs to grab a forward at 9. I don't know. I don't have any insight. I'm not anybody. I'm trying to promote himself. What I'm trying to promote, I'm not. I'm not. But I don't have any type of saying. But I definitely feel that Jeremy Sohan is somebody that makes a lot more sense at 9, and we're going to get into that We have one more request. We'll get to you in a second, man. We have to get this discourse going. So we'll get to you in 1 second. We saw you last week, but we're gonna talk about Jeremy Sohan. One quick moment. Ben, do you have anything closing remarks on Tori Eason?
Yeah. First of all, appreciate you listening from Israel. That's fantastic. Love that. Um, and I would agree with Evan here that it's hard to justify taking a guard or even a big guard at 9 when the Spurs are in desperate need of a like a big wing or a forward. And I just think Eason and Sohan fit that bill better. I do love Benedict Mathurin. Johnny Davis actually scares me a little bit, but that's something we can discuss another time. I'm not as high on him as a lot of other people and Evan, but I get the appeal. It just doesn't appeal to me. But we are going to let's get into the Jeremy Sohan discussion. This is a guy we have talked about at length. We don't have to go too much farther in because I know we got a couple people requesting. We're going to have you guys up here, and we want to get your questions. I'm sure they have to do with Sohan and even Eason. So we'll kind of get through this quickly. But basically, Sohan, a guy who can guard 4, potentially 5 positions if you're playing small ball 5 with him, and another raw offensive player, but the basketball IQ is there. He's just a little raw. I know Evan has way more than that, but that's kind of the big overarching story for him, in my opinion.
Yeah, so it was really interesting that Jeremy Sohan quoted a tweet a couple of days ago. There was a picture of Kevin Garnett and Tim Duncan, and the quote was, "There's not a lot of power forwards like this anymore." And Jeremy Sohan quoted it. And, from my standpoint, from 3-4 months ago when I first became a fan of him, he reminded me a lot of a more athletic Domantas Sabonis. He can bring the ball in transition. He's an initiator in the pick and roll. He's a roll man in the pick and roll. And while his mechanics need tweaking, his shot from 3, it's not. I don't want to say it's ugly, but it's inconsistent. And a lot of the times the ball will have a weird backspin. A lot of times the ball will fall not even like short, but it'll if you're shooting from the top of the key and you don't have a good feel for it, and you have a mid-range type of when I won't say mentality, but a mid-range shot in mind, and you're over here and you're over here pulling up from 3 when you got cut off on the drive. I saw that on a couple occasions. He got cut off trying to drive to the middle of the lane, end up taking like a terrible pull up 3-point shot, and I'm like, dude, like that's not your game. Like I don't know what he'll have to work on to fix that. I don't know if you have to be in the G League, but what I'm saying right now is that Jeremy Sohan isn't a tier ahead of Tori Eason, but in terms of like the rotation right now, he can play small ball 5 at a way more efficient rate, blocked way more shots than Tori Eason. Tori Eason was in foul trouble almost every single game. I know Sohan was a 6 man. He was just in as many foul scenarios. He had a lot of pesky, stupid reaching fouls. I said on multiple occasions he's like the fullback of this draft, a Dennis Rodman type of mentality, not intensity, but in terms of effort. I really think that he would be the better fit because in terms of what he is right now, in terms of his ceiling, all he has to fix is a shot, and he can be a solid 4-man that isn't force the ball. When I say force the ball, we're not looking for another scoring 4. I know people want that, but in my opinion, I want Keldon Johnson to get more reps. I want to see if he can be a 20-point per game scorer. I want to see if we can sign Zach LaVine and get him the ball. Jamie Sohan is a perfect playmaker for that type of team, with or without Jakob, with or without DeAndre Ayton, and that's why I'm higher on him, Tori Eason, just right at this moment. I did do a complete 180 switch on Tori Eason. Tori Eason, in my opinion, I didn't think he fit what the Spurs were needing. He would be like a Kenyon Martin Jr. role for this team. He would have a pick and pop type of 3 and 4 pick and pop type of scenarios, and I put it in the jumbotron. He'll try that cross dribble tween step back. That's gonna get ripped to the NBA. I'm not buying that. So I'm really high on Jamie Sohan at that position. We'll talk about it. I know I've seen some people leave and they're like, "Oh, Evan, what are you talking about?" But listen, I promise you, we're in good hands. At 9, there's no bad pick. I know a lot of people have seen Mark Williams linked to us. Mark Williams measured crazy, right, Ben? 7.
Yes.
Ooh.
He had a great combine actually, and I feel even better about him now. That's another guy I wouldn't hate seeing the Spurs take at 9, to be honest.
Yeah. When it comes down to it, I've said this. We'll make this quick and we'll get to questions. Mark Williams is a drop coverage big, and he's a heavy center, but he's a perfect Yaka replacement. Jalen Duran is more of a 5 and a 4. When I say a 5 and a 4, he can play the 4 next to DeAndre Ayton. He'll be able to knock down mid face numbers, right? Turnarounds, like he has an Antonio McDyess type of game to him, right? We'll see it. It's raw. The two dribbles into a spin into the hard trying to draw a foul type of layup. That's Jalen Duran, and he can have the spiked, crazy volleyball like blocked out of bounds. But I really wanted him to work on his what's it called, his rim protection. Jakob Poeltl was a way better rim protector this year. A lot of people give him credit for deferring shots. Yes, he got dunked on a lot, but hey, that man is not afraid to jump with the best of them. Jared,
You're right. That tends to happen when you're not afraid to go up and try and meet someone at the summit.
exactly. We have a new speaker on stage, man. Go right ahead with your question.
All right, I'm letting Team Nightwolf come up here, but I'm not letting it go without making some sort of Petey Pablo reference because that name is too great not to say something about.
Thank you.
I don't want to say.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for recognizing it. It's nothing bad. It's just an inside joke about Jalen Hurts. But all right. I know we're talking about number 9, but I know you guys have heard that Houston is trying to trade away number 3, and I have to ask, if there's a chance that the Spurs can go up, what's it going to cost? Is it worth it? Is it worth it? And would you do it? That's it.
I have the perfect rebuttal. You cannot give up the entire young core. If you are drafting for fit, and if you have a promise from Zach LaVine or from DeAndre Ayton, and you know that our sign and trade offers are I don't want to say better or they make more sense, but we're gonna overpay for these guys. I don't want to say guarantee, but Devin, Trey Jones, Zach Collins, Doug McDermott, Jay Rich, anybody besides Lonnie, because I forgot what the rule is, Ben. We were talking about in DMs when he can get traded. All these type of scenarios, man. The OKC, like I said, OKC is literally hosting a space right now. They should get rid of the second pick, which is blasphemy in my opinion. So I don't know, man. We'll see, but man, I wish I can give you a straight trade package that works, but it's almost impossible. If people
Okay.
will be,
I'll give it
yeah.
like this: are any of those 3 guys those guys that can change an organization like Ja? Like, are any of those guys you see can get us to that superstar Giannis kind of? Do you see it
So
from any of those 3 guys?
So Chet brings. I'll go 1 through 3. Chet brings at the 4 that is next to Jakob. He brings the same type of defense, same type of box one set opportunities that the Cavaliers were running, knowing that you were not getting that paint. If you're getting that paint, you're gonna have to finish over a 7'6" wingspan slender man or Jakob Poeltl, which is almost impossible, right? So that is an option in terms of being a game changer. Not really. Not in a sense. He's not somebody that is going to be a Hall of Fame. I don't even see Chet being an all-star, honestly. I see him having a lot of highlights and him being a solid starter. Is he a number 1 pick? Worth? Maybe. We'll see. But the real answer, I'm sorry, Ben, but the real answer is Paolo. Paolo to me is faster than Jason Tatum. He's moves like a wing. He's taller than Jason Tatum. He has the same type of mobility. His playmaking needs some work. He always goes for the flashy mellow type of zoom passes. He always goes for the no look dump downs that aren't really there. But at Duke, the reason why he went to Duke was to refine that, and so he can increase his basketball IQ. In the Spurs system, I know what I said. I know what I tweeted. The Rockets aren't trading that pick, blah, blah, blah. But listen, if it's possible, I'm telling you, he tweeted himself, Paolo would want to play with DeJounte. He said DeJounte or KPJ. And that had a lot of incentives behind it. So yeah, definitely.
For me, it would be incredibly hard to get the 3rd pick this year just because, like Evan mentioned, I think if you're the Spurs, you end up giving up way too much. and it becomes you're overpaying for the third pick, which is tough to get around, especially because you could argue that next year's draft is supposed to be better, and depending on what the Spurs do, they could end up with someone else's future first round pick, which might be a better bet than trying to move up into the top 3 of this draft. So I don't think it's a great idea to try and get up there and get Houston's pick unless you can fleece them. I mean, they have to give you they got to give you a lot, and maybe that's going to be one of their guys they picked last year. I mean, they had a few picks last year. They had Usman Garuba and Alperen Şengün. Maybe they give you one of those guys, and you can you get one of your forwards. You know, you either get your offensive or your defensive forward, but you get one of them, and you can satisfy that. You get rid of your 9th pick, and on top of that, you got to get rid of a few guys. But to me, not worth it. Actually, kind of scary. I think if the Spurs do anything, they might trade back and hopefully get someone else's future first. And you kind of have to bank on that team being terrible next year, and make sure it's not lottery protected or it's lightly protected, like top 4, top 5 protected, and then hope that they're a relatively bad team, but not so bad that they get into the top 5. A lot of ifs for me.
Definitely. And we are seeing the requests, guys. Sometimes Twitter Spaces just doesn't work well when two people are hosting together. But if you do want to request, we do have a lot of time to talk about this. Ben, I don't know about you, but I got maybe 10, 15 more minutes. At the end of the day, like I said from the beginning, we have no insight of what the Spurs are going to do. There's many options. I was saying in another space earlier, look for a mega 4 or 5 team just screw up of a whole conference, whether if it's the Utah Jazz selling, whether it's the Indiana Pacers selling, whether if it's the Washington Wizards selling. They lose Bradley Beal. We need one of their forwards. Wouldn't you guys want to have Rui, Denny, or Kyle Kuzma? I do. I sure do. And I don't know about you guys, but we need. I've said this. I see the guys in the space I'm talking about. I've been in many New York Knicks spaces, and I said this plenty of times. If we do not make the playoffs, our all-star point guard is going to be very, very, very displeased. I'm not saying we're going to have to trade him immediately, but this man has said on many, many occasions, we want to win. We want to make the playoffs. Yes, his tweets may be a little, not John Morant-like, right? Just a little inappropriate sometimes. Yeah, his little recruiting with Zach LaVine, that was cool. But he's dead serious. Look at his last Instagram story, man. This guy is dead serious on winning. He has that killer mentality, and he is the 1A for right now. But we can turn him to the 1B, and we can possibly get a 1C. And hey, we'll see where we're going from here. So,
And you with Murray, obviously, I mean, if you come out here and you say, "Oh, I just want to get paid. I don't really care about winning," then what are you here for? But also, with him, I'm pretty sure he would be a little lenient if there were injury issues, which I would not wish. I'm knocking on wood that doesn't happen, but I think there is wiggle room there if something like absolutely disastrous happens.
for sure, definitely.
But that would be it. Otherwise, the Spurs really do need to make the playoffs. They need to. It would be ideal if they were a top 6 seed, so they're not playing a play-in game. But I think with the experience of this past season's play-in game, the Spurs have an opportunity to really understand. All right, if we find ourselves in another play-in game, we know how to win this game. We know how to really get to the playoffs and what it's going to require of us to play well in the playoffs, in the postseason, stay there, be there. I don't know, maybe upset a team. You never know, but
Definitely.
that there are opportunities there, and I think you're right that the Spurs need to show Murray something. It was a good step this year, 10th seed in a year where I think they were projected to win less than 30 games or around 30 games. They went over and got the opportunity to play in a playing game. I thought they had bad matchups in that game, but they fought really hard. They did a lot of things you want to see that show good progress throughout the season, and they were in a ton of tight games throughout the season that they lost. I think all of those are learning experiences as well, and I think getting a guy like Jeremy Sohan, who has great experience from Baylor. He wasn't on their championship team, mind you, but he was playing with championship caliber players. He was playing for a coach who knows how to win, who who gets guys to the next level. And while he may be a rookie and he's relatively young, I think he has a little bit of pedigree there. I mean, this was a team that almost upset UNC. And that was despite them missing 3 or 4 main components of that team. There were 3 or 4 guys who were injured and couldn't play in that game, and they still almost beat UNC after going down by 20 plus points. I mean, the fight that team and Jeremy Sohan have are huge. And I think that can't be understated, and that's not really the stuff that can, that can be quantified, if you will, can be put on combine paper and numbers. But I've gone off the rails now. So we're going to let Deej speak. I see you up here, man. Hit us.
Well, first off, good morning, fellas. Good morning. Happy Saturday. Shout out to the whole Spurs family underneath. Nothing but peace and love. As a Knick fan, I'm just here to listen and learn, to be honest, because as a Knick fan, I'm jealous of just the history of the Spurs culture. Yeah, recently it's not, up to par. But again, you guys have something that we don't have, and that's DeJounte Murray. So I was just here. The only reason why I requested is because obviously you went into the DeJounte Murray topic. And again, shout out to Ev. Ev has come through multiple of my spaces. Project Spurs, man, I appreciate you as well. This is my first time I get an opportunity to speak to you, so I'll definitely give you a follow. That way I could just, follow what's going on with the Spurs. I'm really interested to hear, and this is just like a question. I got 2 questions. Um, for your Spurs, in you guys' opinion, the big board for the big for can you guys give like the 3 names that have been linked to the Spurs and who you feel will? Obviously, you don't know what's going to happen. Nobody knows. But with the 3 names, obviously, I heard Jeremy, I heard Terry. Um, give me your guys' big board 3 if the Spurs stay at 9. Who you guys would think they take, and then also, I just obviously I came in right when you guys were in the middle of the Dejounte Murray stuff, so I just wanted to ask the big board 3 for the Spurs at 9, and then this DeJounte Murray. If are you guys saying that if you guys don't win, he might reconsider leaving? So DeJounte Murray reconsidering leaving, and your Spurs big board 3. Again, I appreciate it, man. I don't want to ramble on. I just want to sit back and listen. So thank you, Ev.
For
Thank you,
sure.
Project Spurs, and peace and love, man.
I got you. I got you. So, I would love to just assume that Tori and Jeremy are at the top of the first 2 when it comes down to the big 3. Um, when it comes down to the third one, that's interesting. I would love to say Dyson Daniels, but Ben, I'm pretty sure Jakob Pearl is gonna get traded. Jalen Duran is gonna get picked like maybe at like the 6 or 7, right? Portland, New Orleans are moving. That's a perfect spot for him. And man, I'm really thinking Mark Williams might be the perfect answer. Mark Williams is, like I said, the perfect Jakob replacement. He is not a day one starter, but he is the end of season starter, in my opinion. And for that type of value, that type of money, I know he has to fill out his offensive game, but on defense, it's not exactly the same as Jakob, but it's pretty much rookie year Jakob. You'll get that production in year 2 and year 3. That's gonna be pretty green. So, and in terms of Dejounte, man, I said this multiple times, someone like that, someone with that type of mentality that wants to win, that's not going to last forever. If we suck for another year, and when I say suck, if we're like a 11th, 12th seed, if we're barring injury, as long as it's not to him, as long as it's not too serious, he's going to seriously try look into Rich Paul and say, hey man, where could I go? Where could I go that could boost my all star caliber? This guy cares about accolades. Well, I know it sounds selfish, but he cares more about accolades than um, I don't want to say the team statistics, but he was showcasing. Oh, I'm the first guy to do 28-9, and oh, I'm this and that. You know what I'm saying? Rather than actually showing love to the assist and turnover with Trey Jones. I'll receive some requests. We'll get to you in a second, but I'm not for sure certain on that. But I wouldn't be surprised. Long story short, we're gonna get to Zach, and then I see Noah. We're gonna bring him up in a second. So yeah, go ahead, Zach. And great question, by the way, Deej.
What's up, guys? Can you all hear me good?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, just actually funny story about Dyson Daniels. I'm glad you mentioned him, Evan. That second half of 2020. If you don't know, I live here in Australia, and I go to university here. And for one of my assignments studying sports media, we were assigned a basketball game just local here in Canberra. Went to the game, nothing much. Wrote a match report for the assignment, and then earlier this year, I was looking through some G League box scores, and I came across the name Dyson Daniels, and I was like, that name sounds really familiar, and it's not because he's going to be a projected first round pick this year. I look him up, realize, oh wait, he went to an academy here in Australia, went straight to that match report, and I wrote his name about 6 or 7 times. That's how impressive he was in that game that I went to. So I'm all for Dyson Daniels coming to the Spurs because I think he would be a great addition. I know people get upset about we have guards, we have wings, we need to prioritize forwards and centers, but I really think, in my opinion, with a top 10 pick, you shouldn't be prioritizing positions as much. You just got to get talent, especially in the position where the Spurs find themselves. And that's where I kind of move on to my question here. Like, I look at kind of what the Pelicans were able to do. You know, they didn't have the most successful season. They were 12 games below 500 or whatever. But when it came down to those playing games and even the playoffs against the Suns, you know, they really gave teams trouble, and they won games because they had those ISO scorers, multiple different ones. And that's why I kind of look at Johnny Davis and Benedict Mathurin, um, and even maybe the potential of AJ Griffin, and think, why wouldn't those guys be more helpful for the Spurs and to help DeJounte Murray than a guy like Jeremy Socha and Tari Eason and whatnot? Wouldn't, with a top 10 pick, especially the guys who have a skill set that can help you in those one-off games or in those playoff games where you need those ISO scorers?
Oh yeah, Dyson Daniels is, I don't want to say the perfect fit for this team, but I feel like gradually he'll make more and more people expendable, and he's in that perfect spot to where he can guard 1 through 3. He's not necessarily rotation ready day one, but he'll definitely have the, I want to say, the primo treatment year one. Ben, I saw you unmuted, so I know you have a rebuttal.
Yeah. Well, not a rebuttal, but a comment on it. I mean, Dyson Daniels is not that small either. I mean, he came in at 6'7.5" inches. He's got a +3 wingspan in that regard. I mean, he's a guy who's big enough. He can guard, like Evan said, those 3 positions. And, you know, I wouldn't hate if the Spurs took him at 9. And that's a great point, that the Spurs could use more guys who can score on their own. They don't necessarily need a setter. They don't need screens. They don't need, they don't need help getting their shot off. And that's one reason why a lot of people like Johnny Davis. And he actually came in a little taller than expected as well, I believe. He's almost 6'6". He's a quarter of an inch short. But for me, Davis is scary because of his volume. He's a guy you're going to have to get under control and say, listen, yes, you're a top 10 pick, but you are not DeJounte Murray. You don't get all of these shots. Like I think his problem is going to be playing within that Spurs system is what it comes down to, and that's one of the reasons. The Spurs led the league in assists this year as a team, because of their system and the way they move the ball. They don't necessarily have great ISO scorers, so I think that may also be something to consider.
Definitely. And I have breaking news. We're gonna get to one question before we get to Noah, because I had a guy DM me about 20 minutes ago. We have to get to his question first. Tori Eason, 11 from 12, top of the key. Warm ups. We'll see what it looks like. We'll see what the form looks like. But I know I talked about it yesterday. Top of the key, right corner. That is Tori Eason's money. The question was from Ian. Jamie Jaime, sorry if I butchered that. He was asking, what are players worth trading for in the 20 to move up from 2025. He says Ousmane Dieng could be anywhere from 13, 15. Who are some guys we would be scouting in that position? Ben, I know you have an answer, so I'll let you go first, and then I'll yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I love Ousmane Dieng at around that area. If you're packaging the 20 and 25th pick to potentially get back up into the lottery or right around it, maybe 15, 16. Although those two picks should give you a little more than that. You could potentially still get Sohan at 9 and then come back and get Mark Williams at the end of the lottery. You can go out and you can get a guy maybe like Malachi Branham if you feel very strongly about it. A guy out of Ohio State, freshman, started playing really well in the second half of the season. Kind of a shooting guard, small forward at 6'5", shot the three ball really well. He would be a bit raw, but worth looking at, I think. Um, I mean, depending on how people feel about Jalen Duren, I mean, I've seen him mocked everywhere. I'm specifically looking at a CBS mock draft that has him at 17, which I think is way too low. But if somehow that is where the area where he ends up, like if you can get a Jalen Duren at 17 or 16, 15, I think you've made off like a bandit. And that's great value because that's a guy who probably should be top 10 or 11 or 12.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I know, I made that Leonard Miller tweet. I wanted to get that out before the combine, just in case he did good. He's not someone we're looking to trade up for at this point. I watched his game all weekend. I watched all the scrimmages, and the one game I missed, I replayed twice because I wanted to see all the type of turnovers he had and the type of repetitiveness when it's high loose dribble and when he's get pressured up when he's um, what was I said I had in my notes. This kid would literally have a left hand layup wide open, and they're trying to do a dime dump down behind the back, and it'll be a turnover. I'm just like, dude, what is going on? So that's the Leonard Miller discourse. I know a lot of people in my DMs were giving me hell for that, but I had to make that clear. Ousmane Dieng, I said this earlier, I would love one project pick like him. If we were to bring in 3 rookies, 4 is obsolete, out the question. That is not happening. But 3 rookies more than likely, and if one is a project pick, one is going to be in Austin. Me and him, might just kick it one of these days. I guarantee I would definitely want a project just so because someone at that stature, someone at that size, I'm talking about Ousmane Dieng, has star potential written all over him, superstar potential written all over him. We just have to define what his game is and see what he can turn into be. Noah, I appreciate your patience, man. We're gonna go to Noah, then we're gonna go to Smooth.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a quick question to both of you because I mean I know where I stand on this, but for the combine like workouts, I'm not talking about the scrimmages. I think the scrimmages have some value, although obviously that's super low sample size, right? You play like 2, 3 scrimmages tops. But in terms of the drills, do y'all not find them like useless? I mean, they're shooting in an open gym, no defenders. They're playing against cones and chairs. Like I for me, I guess I'm not reading into anything that happens when they're standstill shooting from like a corner, or they're doing the star drills or anything like that. Do y'all care about that? I mean, I'm curious because I feel like most people who I talk to really don't care about that too much because how much can that tell you really?
It definitely varies per prospect. People are giving Kevin O'Connor hell for saying Christian Coloco can stretch the floor and knock down threes, but hey,
Yeah.
he was right. He was right. Christian Coloco only took 3 threes and missed all of them all season. He made that prediction a week or 2 before, and sure enough, I forgot what it was: 18 for 30, 19 for 30, top 3 out of that group. That was incredible. Those type of showcasings. The Dominic Barlows, he didn't do. He had a fairly bad shooter performance, but he did well in scrimmages. That type of stuff I want to see, So I get it, but there's a couple actual drills where they close out on these guys, and that gives more of a feel for it. But I get what you're saying. The corner threes when they have to, like Johnny Juzang just knocked down 26 threes in a row according to Rafael Barlow. I'm looking at the tweet right now. That doesn't really tell me anything, Obviously, besides he's what he is, and he can't play defense. He's literally just a 3 and no D type of guy. So. Yeah, I see what you're saying, but it definitely matters for some people. When it comes down to the broad jump and these no step verticals, Listen, that really hurt a lot of people. Patrick Baldwin Jr. I thought the kid was hurt. I thought he had scoliosis. This kid would rarely jump like 10 inches off the ground. It looked like he's 23 inches, 24 inches. That's dude. I can jump higher than that. Seriously, literally, I can jump higher than Patrick Baldwin Jr. That's crazy. So I don't know. Is he going to go back to North Carolina? Is he just testing the waters like Benedict Mathurin was last year, just to get his draft test grade, see what he needs to work on? Possibly, but that is terrible, man. Kendall Brown, he did okay. He's one of these project picks that's moving up, but he's that people pull out from scrimmages when you get a first round promise like Jake LaRavia, but people want to commit and want to do all these extra drills and want to boost their profile by participating. So
It's there's some value, I would argue, Noah. There's it definitely did, like Evan said, it definitely depends on the prospect, and I think specifically in Coloco's case, a guy who basically never shot threes in college, he comes out and he hits more than half of his open threes. That tells you, okay, there's potential here for him to go out and shoot those. And then if you have, and then you have guys where it goes the other way, where you thought, this guy should be a knockdown shooter. He should be, at least a solid shooter, and they have a really bad showing. I mean, that can hurt them in on the mock drafts, on the boards, whatever. So I think it's really about like that kind of stuff. I think you could call, you could label it as kind of vanity stats or vanity exercises or activities at the combine, and you can put however much weight on it you want. I personally don't put a lot of weight on it. I mean, there's some guys who will surprise you, like the Coloco thing, where you're like, okay, that's interesting, but it's probably going to matter more what he does in those scrimmages. Yes, like you said, small sample size, so it's not going to tell you everything you need to know, but it's a baseline for you, and so it'll give you a better idea of, like if you're a team that's bringing that person in for a workout, you have maybe a different expectation of that workout now.
Okay, yeah, I was just curious where y'all stood on that, because I always watched the the making those shots in the open gym, and I sort of liken it to every year, Spurs fans get hyped up and excited that, Lonnie or Keldon or DeJounte are doing like step backs in a gym against cones. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's coming next season. And it's like, well, these guys are professional basketball players, or in this case, with the prospects they're about to be, like, they're so much better than everyone else and the average human and even the average college player that, like, yeah, they're going to make that most of the time, So I guess for me, I don't see a lot of value in it, but I understand what you're both saying in terms of with the guys who may surprise you a little bit, like the Christian Colocos, because I know he did shoot really well in some of those drills at the combine. So no, I appreciate y'all. I kind of just wanted to pick your brain and see where y'all stand on that, because I also do draft stuff, and it's always interesting to get a perspective from people who go deep like you and Evan.
Absolutely, we appreciate the question. I mean, and some of it is, and for and some of it is just like, are these prospects focused? Like, if you're a guy who's supposed to be a knockdown shooter and you're having a bad shooting day, like, what else do you do to get yourself out of that slump? Do you, are you doing something different in the scrimmages, or are you going harder on other drills? So it's also an opportunity to see how some guys overcome adversity, I would say.
Yeah, that's a good point. Again, thanks, y'all. I don't want to take too much more time. I don't want to, invade y'all space, but I always appreciate talking to both y'all. Maybe we can link up on the podcast. I had you on last year. I'd love to have both you and Evan on this year. So appreciate y'all, and I'll let you get back to it.
definitely, man. Thank you so much. I believe it was Smooth, and then Jay, the Wakandan tech support from Who's Face is my guy. What is going on? We're gonna go to Smooth first. What's going on, man?
Yo, what's good, Evan? Had to make sure I came through and joined the space. You always show love in my space, so all about the support. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Hope everybody's doing well. Jay from Florida was good. Listen, obviously I'm not a Spurs fan, but I wanted to know, what do you guys think about maybe Johnny Davis? Because I think he would be a solid fit. Obviously, maybe I know the Spurs got young talent, but they know how to draft really well, and obviously, I know they want They're really good with shooting. I love the offensive system that you guys have, because you guys always move the ball. So I was thinking, how do the Spurs feel about maybe a Johnny Davis or Eason or um maybe like an AJ Griffin, something like that. And then my second question to you guys is, considering that I know Coach Pop, he's probably on his last like year or two. Do you think there's a chance that the Spurs would try to get maybe like a win now player, like maybe sign it, maybe do a trade for Jeremy Grant or something like that, or maybe try to get into the Levine stakes, do a sign and trade that way? Because I know you guys are young, right? But I would think that maybe for the last, few years of Coach Pop's, coaching career, that he would want to try to start making a run at the playoffs, because obviously if you don't make the playoffs and the play-in, um, I'm pretty sure like Murray would start getting frustrated that they're not heading in the right direction. So I just wanted to see, what you guys thought about that. And thanks for letting me come up. I just wanted to chat it up with you guys and just talk some basketball.
Gotcha. Hey man, definitely appreciate you. If anybody needs some New York Knicks discourse, I join the space guys. I join their space often. Deej and Smooth, they host a very 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 well put together space daily. So shout out to them. I spoke on this earlier. A guy like Johnny Davis reminds me exactly like Chris Duarte. He's a shooting guard. When I say a shooting guard, that's exactly like that's the sole position he is. There's no combo guard ability to his game. No on ball. I know he can create separation. I know he can score on all three levels. And what was funny is that he measured the exact same as Benedict Mathurin, and he's labeled as a 2 guard type of defender. But Benedict Mathurin is labeled as a 3 guard type or 3 guy type of defender, which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I would be down for Johnny Davis because I know he can be a 20-point per game scorer, year 2, year 3. I know it may surprise a lot of people, but the kid has a bag. And when I say a bag, it is a well-established bag. And he can change speeds, the spin dribble drives. He's a guy that won't have a lot of assists and won't get a lot of rebounds, but he'll give you 22 and 2. And in a Spurs system and a sign and trade, if we get rid of Primo, ooh, that stings. If we get rid of Devin Vassell, stings even more. Johnny Davis is a good replacement. He's older than Primo. He's rotation ready. And, I feel like he'll turn into, I want to say a fringe all-star, but a most improved candidate. Not like a top 3, but one of those guys like the D'Anthony Meltons at the very bottom get 1 or 2 votes just because his cadency for his game and for and what he can bring to the table year 1. I guarantee he'll have just as good of a year as Primo, maybe even better in the Spurs system, barring no one in front of him taking minutes away from him. I am now under the understanding that there are trades that are possible. Portland, New Orleans. I was saying maybe the Knicks can give us 9. They can grab their center of the future, a Mitchell Robinson replacement, and we can grab Torrey Eason, and they can just dump us a future pick. You know what I'm saying? Like Torrey Eason or Jeremy Sohan should be there at 11, and we can get future assets to be on OKC mode and make something happen. Benedict Mathurin, Johnny Davis, all these guys that are linked to us at 9 that aren't forwards, or Dyson Daniels, who's the only combo guard I want at 9. These guys would only make sense if we move on from somebody. Because I want you to think. Don't you think Devin Vassell is going to get 25, 26 minutes? Don't you think Primo may even start some games, barring the matchup? He did very well to close out the season. I really do think that's a total possibility. Benedict Mathurin is exactly what Josh Richardson was supposed to be: a volume shooter, a movement shooter, coming off screens, can attack the rim. Jay Rich was a glue piece for us. But that man is making $13 million. Him and Doug McDermott, that's a max contract together. Bye. Sorry, I'm sorry, but you have to go. And teams know that they're going to be resilient to work on a deal with us solely because a lot of these teams that don't want the Spurs to get it back in the swing of things, the back into the 7th, 6th, 5th seed tier, they're going to be, maybe we don't want to give you an asset. Maybe we'll have to package it in like a mega 4 or 5 team trade, like I was saying earlier. These type of things are all in the works right now. People's GMs have crazy group chats, I'm assuming. So we'll see. That was a long ramble. I'm sorry, but I had to get that out. We're going to go with Jay the Wakanda Texton. I got Reg, and then I got Hoop Spaces. Give all these guys a follow. I hop in their spaces all the time. So yeah, we're going to go with Jay, Reg, then Hoop Spaces.
Hey man, what up, Evan? Shout out to you, everybody in the room. Appreciate you letting me up. I just wanted to speak to the guy who asked about the combine and why people go crazy. And the other thing is fundamentals. So, for example, a knockdown shooter is missing drills. Well, maybe in the drills you notice he tends to flare his elbow. So then you have something to go watch tape on because there was a prospect that played in Memphis, Josh Minot, and they literally fixed his shot at the combine. And so when you see a player like him who attempted less than 23s all season, have a really good perimeter shooting drill, albeit, wide open, empty gym, no defenders, but you see the hitch in his jumper is fixable and it's fixed. So it's those kind of things that they're looking at those drills, not necessarily the results, but like, all right, feet placement, balance, elbow, follow through. Does he lean back on his release? Does he lean forward on his release? Those are the things that guys are really looking for at the combine because when you're watching tape, there's a defender there. So maybe he was leaning back because he was shooting over a big. Is he going to do that wide open? And so that's what's going on as well when they're doing those drills. And that's kind of the sneaky importance of putting a guy through a star drill or, something like that. And so that's also what's going on. So I just wanted to add that. That's it.
Great point. I was not high on Josh Minot from Memphis. He was somebody that I would really expect or really want to go back to school, solely because he's that raw. But like you said, man, I forgot what the exact stats were, but he did have a good showcasing at the combine. I do see him having a first-rate grade, but can slip down the second round, and somebody can get a steal there. There's a lot of guys in that tier. Dalen Terry, who may go back, the Patrick Baldwin Juniors of the world, the Hugo Bessons. John Butler had a good outing, but a lot of these guys are just there to see what their combine grade is, and if they can come back next year. Kofi Cockburn has been doing this. How many years been? Last year, 2 years. And
Yeah, you basically get 1 year to test it and then go back, and then if you do it a second year, you can still go back, but after that you're no longer testing I don't think you get invited back to the combine if you go 2 years and then go back to school. You go back to school, and the next year you're just entering the draft.
Exactly. Yeah. No. That was a great point. I did not know all that. And when it comes down to it, the Leonard Millers of the world, all these guys, they're just here to see what they need to work on, compare the games to a lot of these other guys. And there's so many people that are getting no love that are just having fantastic combines. So shout out to them. I can go on and on about that, but we have multiple people we got to go to before we close out. We're going to go to Reg, and then we're going to go to Who Spaces.
Appreciate you for having me on. I had a question. I don't know if you guys talked about this, but who's your the most ideal guy at number 9? Like, would it be like Tari Eason, Jeremy Sohan? I kind of go back and forth, who I like better, and also AJ Griffin is another one for me. Who would be your number one on the board that you guys want to get?
We're gonna talk about AJ Griffin in a second, but we talked about Sohan and Tari Eason to start the show, and it's so funny. I think Rockets fans have a Banchero bus and a Tory train and a Jabari jungle. They start all these memes. People pick their sides, and they're super resilient on not switching. People Spurs fans, that is, are doing that right now. They're choosing Tory or Jeremy. People are scared away from Jeremy's free throw percentage, 59%. His 3-point percentage was subpar. His form needs some work. But I'm telling you, he's a better small ball 5. He'll be a better 4 if we have more scorers around us. Yeah, so I don't have a real solid answer who's a better fit, but I know Ben has something to say. So I'm gonna go with Ben, and then we're gonna go. That was a great question, by the way. We're gonna go with Ben. We're gonna go to Who Spaces, and then if anyone else wants to join, now's the time because we're probably gonna close out, and then we're gonna get in. But before we do, we have to talk about AJ Griffin and why I'm not high on him. So I know I pissed off my guy audience, but if you want to come up, man, feel free.
So for me, Jeremy Sohan is the ideal fit. I really like him. 6'9", like Evan said, can play small ball 5 if you want, but is going to be a very versatile defender. The shot is obviously something you have to work on, but that's something you have to work on with Terry Easton as well, I believe. Despite some good shooting numbers at the combine, despite what he showed, I still think there's a little bit more to work on there. But I really like Sohan's basketball IQ. I like his feel for the game. As far as AJ Griffin goes, I'm banking on the Kings being incredibly stupid and taking him at number 4, or somebody just taking him way too high because of his pedigree, because his dad was a player, was an NBA player, and because he was a really good shooter and he started coming on stronger near the near the end of Duke's season last year. So I don't know if he'll make it to 9, but if he does make it to 9, I still don't feel great about it. He's a little small for my liking, and I'm not sure he's fully back from his knee issues. That's what kept him out at the beginning of the season in his lone freshman season at Duke. So for me, the injury history scares me a little bit, and to me he seems like a one-dimensional shooter. He doesn't really create for himself. He's not as shifty as he probably could be, and maybe some of that's the injury and being more comfortable with his legs. But for me, it's Sohan for sure.
Hey, that was a great question. We do have some more requests. We'll bring these guys up, and we're going to go to Hoop Spaces, and I'll bring the AJ Griffin discourse at the right time. I do love him as a kid. He's a really outgoing individual. If you want to look at Instagram, he's a very Spursy type of guy. If you want to look at that your own self, but we're gonna go to Chris, and shout out to Chris. I join Chris's spaces almost every single morning when I'm not at work, and he is doing a great thing for the Twitter community, bringing in so many different media personnel, so many different people from all across the world on a weekly basis, Monday through Friday. The most consistent guy on Twitter in my opinion. Shout out to Chris, man. Give him a follow. Go ahead, Chris.
Appreciate it, Evan, and I'm happy to see Project Spurs up here. I've been waiting to get some Spurs talk on, man. Like, it's hard. I too not a big fan of AJ Griffin. I really don't. I think he's a tweener. I think he's got a great shot. I think he'll be in the league for a long time. But I just don't want to draft him if I was the Spurs at 9. And I don't think Sacramento actually will draft him either. They're looking at somebody else. But the guy I want the Spurs to draft at 9, if Eason isn't available, is Nikola Jovic. I want him to be drafted and stashed, if you want to say it that way. Or I don't even care if he sits on the 15th seat. I think in 8 years, when we look at all of the players entering their third contract, I think he has a chance to be one of the top 5 players in this draft. 6'10", he'll fill out. He can put it on the floor from three-point line to three-point line. He can get long rebounds. He has great vision. He doesn't throw crazy passes like what's his name in Oklahoma City. But more importantly, his shot is repeatable. It's not like Dario Saric was back in, oh God, what was it now? 6 years ago. It's similar to like Tom Chambers. And I think next to a defensive center like Podol, or if you happen to pull off a miracle signing trade like Ayton, I think putting him next to Keldon Johnson at 3, DeJounte Murray at the 1, and you pick up, whoever you need to fit in at the 2, and that's a formidable, multifaceted offense that just reeks pure Spurs basketball.
Chris woke up and chose chaos. Okay, listen. Nikola Jovic has the best form in this draft. Has a deep range from 3. Jason Tatum sidesteps, cross chain, step back, swish. I don't think he's worth number 9, but here's the thing. He's in that 15, 16 range. I've seen him as high as 9, as high as 8 on some boards, solely because in a few years, I do see what you're saying. He's the type of guy that'll be in the 3-point contest every single year because he'll have 6 or 7 Devin Vassell type of outings in the playing game, type of performances. His big thing is defense. Now, there's a lot of people in this room. I'm I'm pretty confident in my game. Listen, he's pretty tall. But I'm pretty sure I can blow by Nikola Jovic. That kid's feet are so slow. Listen, man. Listen. I've seen him maybe block one or two shots that were like clean. Everything else is either a foul, he's getting beaten in a pick and roll. His team knows he has slow feet. I don't even see how big his feet are because Jesus Christ, sorry, but it is it. If you're that tall, you have no hip fluidity. You need to stretch, man. You need to go to yoga. You need to hit some bands. I don't know what it is, but he definitely needs to work on his defense. It's literally just his feet movement. His feet literally do. I'm trying to think of the dance. It's
He can't really even cross, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
So
I get it. I get it. But like this draft, in my opinion, like once you pass that 7 mark, you're really looking at a toss up anyway until maybe the second round where you can get some good value, plays. But I really think that he fits. I just do. And with the defense, he can learn how to ride the hip and just be, tall and lanky, and that'll be fine.
and here's the thing: if you're asking someone to do that, you better have defenders all around. And these guys that are solid defenders, that are the Kyle Andersons of the world, they're going to get overpaid this year because a lot of teams don't have any cap space. A lot of teams are going to be offering MLE for the Reggie Bullocks of the world, the Bobby Portises of the world. But the guys that are better than them, the small tier ahead of them, Kyle Anderson, Jalen Smith, the guys that have potential, we're going to pay them Doug McDermott type of money, and we're going to be stuck with that. So if Nikola Jovic is 9, we better have somebody who's a rotation ready piece at 20, and that may be Jake LaRavia. Honestly, that I'm super high on him. The Kyle Kuzma build. He's the only forward in this draft that can play make, that can pass, that can shoot, and that can defend. That's not in the top 3. So
I agree. I think that would be a great plan if that actually unfolded on draft night. As a Spurs, if I was a Spurs fan, I'd be happy.
definitely, and we do have Zach and we have Jordan. Ben, how much time do you have, man? I'm chilling for the day. How much time do you have?
I have all the time.
For sure. Sounds good. We'll be here until let's say 11:20. We'll try for 11:20. Jordan, or no, Zach, go ahead. You were first.
Yeah, thanks for having me back on. I just wanted to ask a quick follow up about just the Johnny Davis point you made. He's a guy, as I've been watching tape the last week or two, really starting to get into these prospects. Someone that's really intriguing me, and honestly, by the hour, he's making me really think that he should be the guy the Spurs select if he's there. I do agree that he can be a 20-point per game scorer a few years into the league. Most improved type of candidate, getting some votes there. But I wanted to ask you about his defense because he's made out to be a two-way player. He can defend 1 through 3. He can trouble some guys, but obviously that's in college. I'm not even asking kind of can he defend like a Devin Booker, but like in terms of like who the Spurs would face 4 times a year, could he chase Desmond Bane around screens for 4 games and give him trouble? Could he, KPJ if he's put on him for the Rockets, or Tim Hardaway Jr. Can he defend these guys, trouble these shooters, chase them around screens? Is he that type of defender? Or do you see his ceiling kind of being a bit low on that end?
Johnny Davis, to me, like I said earlier, screams Chris Duarte, and Chris Duarte is that indeed, Zach. I do feel like he'll turn into what he's projected to be. I don't want to have any more comparisons. His defense is a, I want to say, a big question, but I don't know. I'm gonna let Ben answer that while I'm bringing up more people up. And if you can't join, feel free to DM me your question. We'll get as many as we can. This is the biggest space we've ever had, so I definitely appreciate everyone stopping by. If you're on stage, if you don't mind muting, just until we get to you, that'd be great. And we're gonna Ben, go ahead, and then we're gonna go to Jordan, then Mark H, then Xavier, and then Nick. So go ahead, Ben.
All right, I'm not gonna lie. I need a repeat of the question. I was in a zone there for a minute.
No problem. I was just asking kind of about the ceiling of Johnny Davis's defense. We know he probably can be a 20-point per game scorer a few years into the league or whatever. But I'm not asking if he can like defend a Devin Booker, but like is he able to chase Desmond Bain around screens for 4 games when we play Memphis? Or can he defend a KPJ on ball when we play Houston 4 times a year? Or a Tim Hardaway Jr. for the Mavs? Can he do that type of role, take on secondary, tertiary type of scorers and defend them well, put them to low efficiency, chase around screens all game long?
That fantastic question. I hate it. Thank you. I Johnny Davis had moments at Wisconsin. He had moments where like he was really focused, he was locked in, and he got good stops. But really, for the majority of games, he was a guy that was kind of hiding on defense, and he was. It never felt like he was trying terribly hard because he was the guy who said, "Well, I'm just going to go to the other end and I'm going to outscore you. So it doesn't really matter what I do on defense." That was kind of the impression I got. So I don't know if he can. He's definitely not going to be a lockdown defender by any means. Certainly not on primary guys. Probably not secondary guys. But he assuming he buys into whatever role a team has for him, and they say, "Listen, we need you to at least to defend at least at a normal level or at like a third, fourth guy kind of level." I think he could get there. I mean, he should get to the point relatively soon, maybe within 1 or 2 years, where he's not a sieve on defense. He's not a negative. He's not going to kill you. Like I think a great example actually is JJ Reddick, who came into the league and he was basically in Stan Van Gundy's doghouse for those years in Orlando because he was like 2 steps behind the guy he was defending, and he worked himself into the spot where he was basically only half a step behind a guy, and it was doable because you couldn't say no to his shooting for so long without a reason, and the reason was he was terrible on defense. So I think Johnny Davis has potential to do something like that, where he can come in and he may not be a great defender immediately, but he can come in and eventually become a serviceable defender after he puts in work.
Appreciate the answer, guys. Thank you.
Great answer, by the way, Ben. That was really spot on. The Tim Hardaway Jr. type of comparison. You got to realize a lot of these guys aren't great point of attack defenders, but they're asked to guard a lot of the guys that could cause them trouble, could cause huge runs in the second and third quarter, total momentum changes, and you need a guy like Johnny Davis to be able to step up, to not be subbed out, and be able to get buckets at the same time. Only a few people can do that consistently in this league, and yeah, that's very important. I forgot the order. I'm not gonna lie. I believe it is Jordan. Jordan, you're next. He's still muted. If you want to go ahead, if he's still here, give him about 5-10 seconds. If not, I believe it's then Xavier. Xavier had his hand up. Go ahead, Zay.
Okay, cool. Yeah. No, I actually think Johnny Davis, my player comp for him is Spencer Dinwiddie. I think that he's a guy who, in some situations, is going to be a high volume, second or third guy. And he is an opportunistic defender, but he's not a guy who you're going to expect to be, your main POA or even your secondary, point of attack guy. But if you can put enough defenders around him, similarly to what Dallas has done by putting DFS and Reggie Bullock around him, he can, hide just enough. And because of his athleticism, he's not a complete liability, but he's not also, Mikal Bridges. For the Nikola Jovic conversation, I like him a lot. I think honestly, I think you said if you can get somebody else at 9, I think if you can get him at like 17 or 20, even if you do have to like move up, which we don't often see in the NBA draft, but if you could get him later in that first round, would be an absolute steal. I think for me, what I see from his game is he looks like to me like he can be a 6'10" Bogdanovich, which as a scorer is great. Obviously, we know Bogey's not a great defender, and I think that's obviously going to be where he's lacks. But once again, what he gives you in his arsenal scoring wise, and the fact that he's only 19 years old, if even that, I think he has a hell of an upside. He has one of the best upsides of any player in the draft as far as offense is concerned. But the only question I would have for you all as Spurs fans, what do you think of Jeremy Sochan at 9? As far as being like a Herb Jones kind of defender for you all who can play like almost, can play in that 4 spot.
Definitely, and I do like the comparison to Dinwiddie. It does make sense because in terms of what Dinwiddie's role is, we saw it last night, man. If Luka doesn't get help and Dinwiddie's not on, they not only do they have no chance, but he can actually shoot them out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Davis is the definition of a volume shooter. When this guy is on, 10 for 12, 3 for 3 from three, 5 for 5 from free throws. I'm like, I had to watch his Big Ten run. It was short, but I definitely saw the type of sets that they were throwing at him, and his playmaking ability was hit or miss. So the Dinwiddie makes it doesn't fully make sense because he's more of like an on guard and actually a combo guard. But Johnny Davis, like I said earlier, I'll hold on, I'm getting a text. Johnny Davis, like I said earlier, is one of those guys that is a pure shooting guard. Like he's a more like a Chris Duarte, non-athletic, can score on all 3 levels, can get to his spot. Will need a screen, pick and roll, either a dump down dive, sidestep, mid range. Yeah, it's there. So that was a great question, Zay. I've been following you for a minute, man. Appreciate you stopping by. Yeah, so that was a great question, by the way. And for Jeremy Sohan, sorry, I almost forgot. We talked about him earlier. The spaces would to start off with was basically like a Torrey Eason versus Jeremy Sohan.
Okay.
Yeah, so Sohan. Oh my God, that was a crazy text I just got. That's funny for the combine. Jeremy Sohan is like a more athletic Domantas Sabonis. He can play a small ball 5. He can push the ball in transition. He's an initiator as a in the pick and roll. He's a roll man in the pick and roll. And at the end of the day, I don't have any problems with him at 9. The one issue that I have is that his shooting form from 3, especially from NBA 3 now, that's going to need some work. And there's no real hot zone he has. Like, he's a cold shooter all around from 3. I don't know what Chip can do in a year. I still do think that the Primo treatment would be the best for Sohan, just to build his confidence. He's a really, really, really like humble kid. He's from Poland. He was born in Oklahoma, and he's bounced all around his whole life. And a Spurs environment, a family-like environment that support him, that push him to his best ability. And like, this kid is gonna come out in the flashiest Kobe's, crazy hair. That just boosts his confidence, man. It turns him to the I've seen the comparison, like he's like the Dennis Rodman of this draft. He's really not. That's just talking about his image. He's more lines of like I said, a Domantas Sabonis. I've heard a Jared Vanderbilt comparison, which makes sense to a T. But like, he's a very versatile forward that can play 3, 4, and 5. And I see him locking down 2, 3, 5, small ball 5 for years to come. And once that shot is there, man, who knows what his ceiling can be? Like, his ceiling is really up there. His sub creation, pull up needs some work, but that's really not his game. Like, he's more of a patient player that fits what the Spurs need. Don't you see? So like, if we have scorers all around, if we sign Zach LaVine, whether if we now we get DeAndre Ayton, I feel like his playmaking ability is and his strengths will make the right reads at the right time. When he's wide open, hopefully he can knock down the shot, because a lot of Spurs looks, Lonnie, KBD. When we traded for Bryn, man, when Bryn was in Denver, we shot so poorly on that rodeo road trip. So bad. So bad. I don't know if y'all remember that. And we really need some scoring out here. So, yeah.
I think something else important with Sohan is his floor is also high. That's the other part of it.
Oh, yeah, no. He's like definitely a rotation ready type of guy right now. But obviously, you have, Eric Selena says this all the time, the sweat equity has to be intact. You have to work your way out the lineup, or just kick ass during training camp. We saw Devin Vassell not spend a minute in Austin. Granted, that was the COVID season, but still, like, you can earn your spot in this system. People don't just have to wait years and years for their time. So Jeremy Sohan does feel like that guy. And we have no forwards on this team. There are no power forwards on this team. KBD, I don't want him on this team. I truly don't. Really, I don't want. What's the point of having KBD on this team for $3 million? There's really no point. Zach Collins is a center that gets dunked on all the time. We need a forward, and we can get 2 with 9 and 20, and that are rotation ready. I tweeted this earlier, man. It makes all the sense in the world. Not trying to be too much on my case, but it's if you go for the home run ball, try and move up the 3rd and 4th pick, 5th, 6th, whatever. And you're getting up assets, and you may not get the best in return. So We're gonna go. We have a lot of people on stage. We definitely appreciate you guys stopping by. We're gonna go to Nick. We're gonna go to who's next? Jordan, we didn't hear from you, man. So if you can hear us, please speak up. I don't want to remove you, but please speak up. So we're gonna go to Nick. We're gonna go to, I believe Seti was here first. Yes, I'm him. You've been up here for a while. Put your hand up, man, please. I'm sorry. If you put your hand up, yeah. So Nick, go ahead, and then we'll figure out from the rest.
No, first of all, obviously loving the conversation, and thank you for bringing me up. I heard the conversation about Jovic earlier, which I do think nine's a little high for him. But my question is, if you like Jovic at nine, shouldn't you like Osman Jang even more? Obviously, he doesn't have the shooting stroke, but just if you want a flexible, diverse offense with length and kind of ball creation from different types of positions, like a very flexy, positionless kind of offense, like that seems to me like the guy I'd prefer rather than Jovic, who I like, but kind of feels like Steve Novak with some handles. And so I was just wondering about your thoughts on that.
So Usman Yang was actually I'm in a mock draft about to be posted tomorrow, I believe. He was actually selected 8th by the Pelicans in this latest
Interesting.
I was in, and there's a lot of really high knowledgeable draft guys that I follow in that group chat, and you know his ceiling. I said this many times. I'll say it once again. If you look at rookie year Giannis, yes, the measurements aren't exactly the same. That's literally Usman Dieng. Usman Dieng can't finish at the rim. He obviously had his poor first half of the season, but the second half of the season, man, once his confidence came around, once the Breakers team stopped running 4 guard lineups, this man was really not only impressing people, but his confidence was through the roof. Step back threes. I do see the request. We will go through some of these people because we can only have so many people on stage. I actually saw Usman Dieng pay his request and he just left. So that was funny. But literally at the end of the day, Usman Dieng has star potential. He'll definitely need to fill out his body. I weigh more than him at the moment. And at the end of the day, like that's not rotation ready for the NBA. So I really do think that he'll be that elusive wing forward that is like a demigod. He can push the ball in transition. He can finish at the rim. He'll be slamming on guys, literally slamming on guys years from now once he fills out his body. So yeah, I'm buying that. And at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. I feel like this draft is going to have a lot of movement, a lot of mega 4 or 5 team trades, a lot of just crazy stuff we don't see coming. You know, the Kings might screw things up, or they might make the best deal in the draft. Who knows? Yes, I'm him was here before. Then it was Seti. I do remember that, and then it was Philip, and then we're gonna go to El Ray podcast. Bad guy, if you want. What's up with you, man? I haven't seen you in a minute. That's that.
Ed, what's up, Ed?
Hey, this Ben. Hey, sorry, that guy's hilarious, man. He was supposed to be in our last space, but we ran out of time. So yeah, let's go to Yes, I'm him, and then Seti, and then Philip.
Yo, what's up with it?
What's going on, man?
If I had to ask y'all, what would you say is the 3 biggest needs for the Spurs? And what should we address it in free agency or during the draft?
Ben answered the first half of that question. I'll answer the second half.
All right. 3 biggest needs, no particular order. They probably need one more guy who can self-create and shoot the lights out of the ball. They need legitimate forwards, and they need an offensive big or an offensive forward.
Okay, and do we attack that in the draft, or are there free agents that you know of or that you see that can, provide these things?
I wanna jump in right there. There's only a few. When I say drop coverage centers in this draft, the Mark Williams, the Ismail Kamagates, those guys don't fit if we keep Jakob. Ismail Kamagate is going to need a year or two, and I'd rather have Jalen Smith back up Jakob. If we have DeAndre Ayton, we can definitely have a project pick as a center and have Zach Collins back him up. And all these intangibles, all these what if scenarios comes down to this: where is Jalen Durant going? If Jalen Duren falls to us at 9, I honestly feel like we have to take him. Why? Because we don't have to mess up anything. Jakob is a starting center. Jalen Duren is the perfect backup. You sign Zach LaVine. You get Jake LaRivia at 20. You sign Jalen Smith. 7 seed, 6 seed, question mark? Literally, like what? You don't have to move all these crazy pieces. You don't have to trade Devin. You don't have to trade Primo. And I said this earlier, like the easiest way to go about things, in my opinion, that is just to bring whoever you feel is a long-term piece back, keep the standard rotation how it is. Don't have anybody jump in front of everybody. And then literally, I want you guys to look at this. The payroll makes all the sense in the world for how the Spurs make things happen. Jakob Poeltl is making $8 million a year. Zach Collins is making 7. 7 was the perfect amount for a backup that is not on a guaranteed deal that we can say, oh, if you're not going to ball out this year, hey, give me that $7 million back. You're going to be in free agency. We're going to trade your ass, literally. You have so many intangibles that we can make for this team. It's all in order. There's going to be no drama, nobody pouting on the bench, no Zion situations, no Julius Randle fighting the assistant. Sorry, Knicks fan, sorry. But, like, you really have to think about this here. Like, the Spurs are not the most pristine free agency destination. We have to have guys who want to play here and want to give their effort at all times. No drama, no BS, and that's the Spurs way. You know what I'm saying? I know that's really cliche to say, but think about it from a standpoint of: is this guy making more money than me? Is he getting more playing time than me? Oh, I don't want to deal with that. That type of, I'm not going to name any more teams. I'm going to be throwing shots here. That type of mentality in the NBA is not how the Spurs do it, and that's just my opinion. So, bringing up one more person, I think it was Seti. Seti, go ahead. Then Philip. Then El Rey.
Yeah, to be honest, man, you kind of hit most of my points just as I've been listening. I'm glad that you brought up Aiton and Levine and things like that, because I'll be honest with you, man. I'm kind of getting, and this is probably deferring a little bit from Evan and maybe some other guys. And as a Spurs fan, man, ever since, like, I've been following the team when, Duncan was drafted and all that, they've kind of done things a certain type of way. They're real reserved, real patient. But this is bullshit, man. Like, we're not gonna, like, we can talk about mid-ass players all day that we're gonna draft at 9 and 20 and be like, oh yeah, we're gonna bring them in and they're gonna be in the rotation. We're gonna, like, come up and win a championship. No, we're not, dude. It's bullshit. Like, we need to package these. Like, what I'm trying to see is when are the Spurs gonna be competitive, man? We're not getting. I was really hoping that we can get into that top 3. I was excited about maybe Apollo or somebody like that. I don't think we're getting anyone at 9 and 20 that's going to effectively move the needle enough for us to start competing at the level that we want, right? So, like, trade, like package these picks, do something about it. Try to go get Aiton. Try to go get somebody like Zach LaVine. This is bullshit, man. You can talk about these mid-ass players all day long, bro. We're not going to win a championship. We're not going to start competing with picking motherfuckers at 9 and 20. Like, trade the picks.
Hey, you're actually spitting. I see the laughing emojis. This guy is spitting. He makes 100% sense. One thing I want to mention is that the tanking side of Spurs Twitter, that is, I'm not going to talk too much about him, but the Spurs were definitely not trying to tank. They're trying to showcase, hey, teams, we have potential. We have missing holes in this team. We have major issues in our front court, but we were a whole tier behind, literally the whole tier behind 8th and 9th seed in the Western Conference. What I mean by that is, we were in the game for a minute against New Orleans, but just imagine if they had Zion. Literally, just like the Denvers of the world, the Clippers of the world, healthy, the Phoenix Suns of the world. These guys are tiers ahead of us. So it makes sense what you're saying. I totally get it. Here's the thing. A sign and trade with the Bulls and a sign and trade with the Suns, it doesn't gut our team. It's a 3-for-1. It's a 3-for-1, a pick, a rookie.
Gut these motherfuckers, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, even if we have to go back, bro, a little set, like, bro, like, are y'all cool? Just like, hanging out, maybe competing every now and then and shit. It's like, bro, gut this team, dude. Like, it's not gonna win a championship, bro. Like, we need to get better. Like, even if we have to go back, like, I don't know why people are afraid of trading guys. Like, bro, gut these motherfuckers, then, dude.
Hey man, it's a recorded space, but I appreciate your enthusiasm. When it comes down to it, man, there's so many options the Spurs can make.
We might as well get rid of Pop if we listening to this, man. I mean, come
No,
on.
no. Listen. What Pop is here to do is he's here to set the tone and to leave the. I'm trying to
Yeah,
think of the term
should
here.
have gave it to Becky Hammond.
Becky wanted her bag, man, and she's doing very well over there. Shout out to Becky Hammond. Let's see some
Becky,
and happy
dog.
emojis for Becky Hammond, y'all. Shout out to Becky Hammond. Listen,
Yeah, man, Becky, man, first female coach in the NBA. That would have been fire, bro. And Pop passing the torch because he talks a lot about liberation.
I apologize for the language. I didn't realize it was recorded, but I'm just my frustration is like I feel like both the management, fans, even guys, I'm not saying you. I'm just saying that like, bro, like, okay, I'm not hearing anything that's exciting, dude. Like, what are we trying to compete or not?
so I'm gonna answer that question right now. DeJounte Murray wants to compete. If we don't compete this year, hell is gonna break loose. We need to make the play-in. We need to make the playoffs. We need to sign a Zach LaVine. We need to spend our cap. There's only 7 teams in the league that can spend money in free agency this year. Everyone else has MLE type of situations, man. Seriously, I know Portland wants to get Jeremy Grant or Julius Randle. They want to hop us in the tier rankings, right? This is, oh man. How do I say this? There are too many scenarios to make, and we're not going to get them right. What they're going to do on draft night, I'm probably not going to predict. What they do in terms of trades, we're not going to see coming. It could be the Hornets, it could be the Wizards, it could be the Heat, it could be the Knicks, it could be the Lakers, literally. So I don't know. I'm looking
Yeah,
at Utah possibly switching things up. They might sell on Donovan Mitchell, a 5-team trade including him. That may make things get going a little bit. So
Evan, it's also to Seti's point. I think it's also too late to straight tank. If the Spurs were going to tank 2 years ago, was about the time to do it. The culture of San Antonio cares too much about doing things the right way, and also I believe in bad juju personally. I obviously can't speak on what the Spurs believe in, but tanking outright and being bad when you have potential to get to that playing game, I think is bad juju. That's the kind of stuff that gets you out of the top 4. Like you could argue that yes, the bottom 3 or 4 teams this year were truly terrible, but you could also argue that like the Orlando Magic were never truly outright tanking. Like they have actually had, if anybody's tanking on that team, it's actually the trainers. I would argue they've had such
oh my God.
terrible injury luck. Like there was a point I think last season they had 22 different guys shuffle through their roster because all of their guards kept getting hurt. Like Jonathan Isaac has never been healthy. Mo Bamba had COVID complications. Like they have had guys who they picked in the lottery in the top 10 who keep getting injured. I mean, so I think when you have DeJounte Murray and you have Jakob Poeltl and you have other guys who can help you compete, to just like tank their minutes and tank this season, it's just it leaves a bad taste in my mouth, and that's I think Bad Guy mentioned it earlier. Popovich would just never allow that to happen. Like he is going to coach the living hell out of that team, no matter what players he has. So it's not viable now, but I think the Spurs are also at that point where other teams are going to do something dumb or they're going to end up splitting up. Like Utah has a real impasse with Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. Like they have to figure out that relationship, and that could lead to breaking up the team. And right there, you have lost a top 4 or 5 seed team in the West. And
Yeah, real
then
quick. So I
has
wasn't insinuate that we tank. Let me just make sure. I know we got
okay,
hands. I just
okay.
wanted to say that point. I just meant like where we are now. I think it's time to be aggressive and not passive. That's all I'm saying. So we have to package all of these picks.
I got
Look,
you. I got
I
your aggressive,
respect the
Seti. I
disagree
got
on the
your
yeah.
aggressive.
That's all I'm saying.
I got
That
your
is
aggressive.
that is more than fair. Yes, I would agree. The Spurs have not done anything sexy, really, since they traded the Pacers George Hill and got
Got
Kawhi
Kawhi
Leonard.
Leonard. Yup. I
But
got something nice for him. Project. I got
yeah,
something nice for him since he wants to get aggressive. Let's get
let's go.
aggressive. Let's get aggressive, bro. Let's go to the playoffs right now. You know what, man? I say you go out there, you get Rudy Gobert, man. I don't know how you do it. Matter of fact, you go and get yourself a free agent. Hold on, man. I'm about to park the car, man. Don't worry about my seatbelt. I'm a very safe driver. But
Your
listen,
car,
you
your
go
car
get
is
yourself
very
a Zach
concerned.
Levine. You go get yourself a Zach Levine at the 2, man. And then you know what you do? What's that kid I like? The 3 and D. Ochai? What's his name? What's his
Ochai
name? Ed?
Obaji, Ochai Obaji.
Come on,
Yes,
man. I ain't heard his name, man.
yes.
You,
Listen, hey. Ochai
3 and D.
Abaji is the perfect fit for the Spurs at 20 or 25 if we pick there because he's a 3 and D wing and this guy is a sniper. Is a
A
sniper.
sniper.
I want you guys to remember Bryn Forbes and Gary Neal and all the Marco Bellinelli moments, the 5 or 6 3-point outbreaks. That's Ochai Abaji. He's 20.
And not
Uh-huh.
only that, but he'll play a little defense
Oh,
for you. And
oh yeah.
he's
What?
Oh, oh,
3 and D.
oh yeah.
he'll
It's not lockup.
the thing with him at Kansas was he was such a high usage player for them that he had these really inefficient games. But
Okay.
you bring him up to the Spurs and you're not asking him to go out and score all those points. He's going to be a much more efficient player.
But he looked like he stepped up his efficiency and his volume like every year.
That's true. He had to really work on his game over the years.
Y'all thought I was done right there. So what pick y'all got? Y'all got, what was it? It was 2 of them right in the first round?
We got 3 picks. We got 9, 20, and 25.
All right, so that 9 pick. That 20 and 25 pick.
Ochai is definitely going to be in the 20s. I know he was linked in the top 10, top 15 earlier, but he's one of those guys slipping just because of his ceiling isn't as high. Like, he's definitely that Danny Green type of realm. Like, he won't be a star one day.
Danny Green. Let's talk about it.
No.
I'm sending you Danny Green for that pick. I'm packaging Tobias Harris over there. I'm sending Tobias Harris over there. I think Tobias Harris would make a good look over there for your team, bro.
Shout out to Bad Guy, man, because he's always in everybody's space selling Tobias Harris. And I'm a New York Knicks fan. I can tell you right now, my man played against Tobias Harris in high school and in college.
They be acting like he's a bum, bro.
He is, bro.
He's not.
That contract
He's
is
not
nasty,
no fucking.
bro.
Excuse me,
that
man.
Contract is nasty.
We gotta go to Philip. He's been waiting
Y'all
for a while.
don't want Tobias Harris, Ev?
No, Tobias. Listen,
that's Swiss Army knife, bro.
No, he's not. No, he's not.
He's a veteran.
Pause. Let me get this out. Tobias Harris reminds me a lot of Keegan Murray. That's why I'm not high on Keegan Murray. Keegan Murray is a scorer, right? But hey, he only has 4 or 5 go-to moves in the league without NBA spacing or with NBA spacing. He will get locked up. Tobias Harris took 5
That's a good
years.
comparison, Evan. I'm not gonna lie.
Keegan Murray cannot get to the rim. Keegan Murray takes 2 dribbles, pull up. It's there in college. He has his length. He can shoot over people. But at the NBA, give him an average PJ Tucker, a Markieff Morris brother, one of the two. Yeah, shit's getting locked up. Excuse my language. But
one last thing before I get out of here, Ed. Y'all don't think y'all could package the picks together and then move up on the picks?
Definitely, but here's the thing. Moving up in this draft is not the easiest thing. You're going to have to sell the farm. Everybody wants to move up. Nobody has money in this league. 23 teams cannot spend money in free agency that make a difference. People are going to want to move up. They have their favorites. Teams are going to lie. Oh, are you going to pick for this guy for us? Oh, what this guy's workout look like? And that's why the Spurs don't tell their prospects, don't tell anybody we're working you out. That's how we drafted these guys that we picked without anyone knowing. Literally, it's a formula that we've been having for years. I'm glad that Manu's a part of the process now. Hopefully, he can be a coach later down the line. Him in Chicago while Pop is in Europe speaks volumes to me about the confidence in this front office with this team and what they know is certain for the future in terms of the type of players that they want to bring. And one second, bro. And the type of mentality these guys have to have. That guy, I definitely appreciate you, bro, but we have to keep things going.
Ed, keep up the good work, man.
Hey,
I'm gonna tap in with you. I wasn't really gonna listen to the draft because the Sixers don't got a pick, but it sounded more like the Nets are gonna defer their pick till next year, and the Lakers are gonna make a trade offer for Doc Rivers. So who knows?
Hey, who knows, man? As long as Doc Rivers doesn't come to San Antonio, man, we do not want that, man. It's sweaty behind. Anyways, let's get Philip his time, and let's get El Ray finally. I'm sorry, guys, but appreciate your patience.
Yeah, first, can we name the space Bad Guy Space? Because, my gosh. And also...
Bad Guy's hilarious, bro. He's my guy.
Yeah, I thought he hijacked it for a second, though. And then 2, the dude that you compared to Bryn Forbes made me throw up in my mouth, so cross him off the board, please. I thought we were going to get a whole space without talking about Bryn Forbes. But for real, I don't know if we had talked about him. I came in late. According to Seti, what he's going off of saying, like, swinging for the fences, someone like Shaden Sharp, I don't know if we brought him up at all, but I mean, he would be awesome. I don't know if he's going to drop to 9, probably not, because everyone likes potential in the NBA, and that's pretty much all he's going off of right now. But I mean, he's somebody, we talked about what we need, and it's definitely someone that can get their own besides DeJounte, who can get his own in the kind of. But Shaden Sharp, I mean, if that's going to be a person, then that's the only guard I want. If we draft another guard besides that, like Johnny Davis, I mean, that's another throw up in my mouth. I mean, we just need to swing for the fences. And then last thing is, if in a perfect world, like we had our chance at any free agent, I guess, would you rather rock with Levine or Aiton? Which one of them do you really think pushes the needle? Because for me, I think it's Aiton, to be honest. I understand that he didn't have a great end of the playoffs, but I think that was just them not using him well, similar how the Jazz don't really know how to use Rudy Gobert. But I think he, especially with Pop, however long he's in a coach, he can figure something out and get him in the proper usage rather than Levine and I mean, Levine and DeJounte would be fun, whatever. I get they're both from Seattle, but I don't think that's going to push us over the edge, especially, I mean, I know Levine can bounce, but he's just going through another knee surgery right now, and that also makes me terrified. But yeah.
Yeah, you were spot on when it comes down to a lot of things. I'm really not high on Johnny Davis in terms of a Spurs type of fit unless we package Primo or Devin Vassell because there's really no role for him. I know we had four guards getting rotation minutes last year: Lonnie, Jay Rich, Devin, if you call him as a guard, Primo. Um, that's normal for a team that's not making the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? That's I want to say the standard, but you have to see what these guys have, and that's why I'm super confident on Primo becoming a starter one of these days. If it's not like a for sure solid six man that gets more minutes than the starter. So Shadon Sharp, you mentioned him at the beginning. I'll say this about Shadon Sharp. Shadon Sharp may have granted a lot of people in this room, people may cancel me, may have number one potential in this draft, depending on how he works out. I'm going to make things
That's
very,
cap.
very clear. He's not going to go to Orlando. He's not going to go to Orlando. Too many guards there. Somebody might sell the farm. We have seen crazier things happen in the past. Shadon Sharp can jump 49 inches in the air, ladies and gentlemen. This guy can jump higher than Michael Jordan. This dude, 1-2. I was watching. This is an EYBL.
That's
I'll
two
have this.
times Patrick Baldwin's vertical.
Say it again.
I think that's two times of Patrick Baldwin's vertical.
Yeah,
Wherever
no,
he
we
tests
talked about
that.
that earlier. I can jump higher than Patrick Baldwin Jr. So listen, Shadon Sharp off of a baseline play jumped from the second hash and had his pelvis on this dude's neck from the second hash, and he missed the dunk because it was too high. But he grabbed it and almost slammed it. This man is a freak of nature. He is a Jalen Green mixed with Brandon Roy, can score on all three levels, can get to his spot. He has what he calls a toolbox. Now people say a bag. He says a toolbox is in his bio. The step backs, the side steps, the spin dribble drives, Euro, fillet off the glass. That's Shaden Sharp, man. Is he a number one guy 5 years from now? Possibly. Is he a number one guy a month from now? Possibly. I know that sounds crazy, but there's a reason why this guy didn't go to Kentucky. Kentucky's system was trash. They are a team that needs a whole new identity. I don't know. It's not John Calipari. It's their recruiting. I don't know if they're paying these kids or what, but he was not trying to be in that system. He probably was hurt. He didn't want to hurt his stock. He probably didn't want to play. And I'm telling you, there's a reason why this kid is a top 5 lock, and nobody has seen him play from I'm not trying to be rude, but from a regular draft guy standpoint. Not a lot of y'all have seen him play, right? You've seen the highlights, right? You wonder, oh, why is he top 5? He's a freak of nature. That's why. He's a
Oh, I
freak of
mean,
nature.
Yeah.
Kentucky has
If
the
you
same.
thought Jalen Green should be number one or had an argument for number one last year, then you think Shaden Sharp has an argument for number one this year because he's better than Jalen Green.
Yes,
I don't want to say that just quite now. Well, let's calm down
I'm
now.
comfortable.
Jalen
I'm
Green,
comfortable saying it. I'm
he
first
comfortable
team
is.
saying
All
it.
He
Rookie.
is.
This kid is 18 now. This kid is 18. He could be a Sacramento King a month from now. We'll see what happens.
And
I
he's
would
not.
love that fit, but listen, he's not going to be at 9 with the Spurs. If that were to happen, man, I don't know. I'll buy someone a jersey. I'll buy someone a jersey. I don't think that's going to happen. So,
Hey,
um,
Evan, Ben, I know you're about to go to El Rey, and obviously nobody else has came up. I just have a question because I don't know if you guys mentioned it.
mhm.
How do you guys feel about Benedict? Because as a Knicks fan, that's who we're chasing, and a lot of people are DMing me while I'm up here to talk about Benedict. How do you guys
Yeah,
feel about Benedict Mathurin for number 9? I haven't seen anything about Benny going to you guys. So, what's your thoughts on him?
So remember how I mentioned we had 4 guards in our rotation last year: Jay Rich, Lonnie, Primo, Devin. If we get rid of Lonnie, we get rid of Jay Rich, Benedict Mathurin is a great replacement for there. I said this earlier in the space. He was what Jay Rich was supposed to be, a good volume movement shooter that can defend. His measurements didn't come out the best, but when it comes down to it, his ability to get to the lane, his athleticism is off the charts. Not nowhere near Shaden Sharp's now, nowhere near the top 5, top 6, but he can get up, he can finish, he knows how to finish with his left, his right, up and unders. His playmaking ability is what I'm seeing that doesn't need work, but in terms of what the Spurs need, think of all the types of points, all the types of setups Jay Rich and Lonnie would have. They would pretty much be subbed out for one another, or we have a small ball lineup with Lonnie at the 3. A lot of times you would have two-way handoffs, pick and pops with guards, and have someone wide open in the corner. His ability to have to find that guy and make that Lonzo Ball, Jokic type of flip of the wrist type pass in the corner, like how playmakers like Dyson Daniels or other guys can do. I'm not buying, but I feel like he can dribble drive, pull up mid range, and that is there. I feel like he'll be able to get to the line and shoot well. That is there. What the team needs isn't another wing, but it's not the best case scenario. It's not the worst case scenario. But as long as we get another power forward at 20, I'm cool with that pick. I'll be content with that pick for sure.
Benedict Mathurin is, like Evan said, he would have to be replacing a guard. With him, I really like his bounce. He's confident on the brink of cocky, but I think he balances it well. Plays with a chip on his shoulder. Was a kid who I don't know if he got into basketball late, but he doesn't have a traditional path to getting to Arizona and then getting to the NBA. So I think that intangible kind of perspective would be great for the Spurs. But also, like Evan said, I think the Spurs just have to get a forward at 9, and they have to get the best available one. And unfortunately, Mathurin isn't that guy.
No doubt, I appreciate it because I'm just trying to figure out what my Knicks can do at 11. And Benny is a dream, Johnny's a dream, but I don't see them either one of them getting to 11. So I appreciate it.
It's okay. They're going to end up picking the next Obi Toppin anyway.
No. It's totally possible. I'm telling you, Johnny Davis and Benedict can definitely fall. It's all about fit, and we don't know the teams that are going to possibly trade up in the 4, 5, or 6 spot, even 7. So, well, not 5 and 6, but 4 and 7, Sacramento and Portland and possibly New Orleans. So, we'll finally get to El Rey, my man. I'm sorry you've been waiting for a minute. If you're still there, please unmute. The floor is yours. Feel free to ask us anything about the draft, the Spurs, anything you got, man. What's going on?
Man, you guys are good. Enjoying the conversation. I think the Spurs, if Jalen Duren falls to 9, he's the guy. They need size. I mean, if we talk about the Spurs needs, it's rebounding, it's size. They had a lot of issues with rebounding this past season. And going back to a couple of speakers, they want championships this year. They want to compete, but it's a process for the Spurs, and it's a different process than any other team. But that's why I'm against signing Zach LaVine this summer. I think signing Zach LaVine would stun the growth of a Primo and Vassell, and I think Vassell's about to take a massive jump this season. He went from 5 points a game last season, his rookie year, to 12 points this year. I hate to compare, but he's starting to look. His numbers are looking similar to Kawhi Leonard's when he first started with the Spurs. And they aren't even setting a place for him. We saw what happens when they did in the play-in game. He had 6 threes, I think, and was starting to show some flashes. So I think they got to go for size. If they go for a guard, I actually like Johnny Davis. I think he's coming from a team in Wisconsin that runs a similar offense to the Spurs, where they're all involved with the ball. It's almost like he's been in a G League environment there in Wisconsin for the Spurs culture. So I think he would be if he's the best available and Duran's not available, that's the way you go. But I think you go for size, and Duran's the guy.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier. I'm almost confident you were here. Jalen Duren will be a solid pick if he's there, solely because we wouldn't have to make a lot of moves. He's a perfect backup for Jakob. We're bringing Jesse up here, my guy. He's a perfect backup for Jakob. And I'm gonna argue that point you made about Zach LaVine. Zach LaVine as a starter, 28 minutes, 29 minutes. Same thing with DeJounte. They get subbed out for each other. You bring in Trey Jones. You bring in Primo. You have Devin at the 3. I'm gonna give you one comparison to Devin, and I want you to look at his numbers. compared to this guy, Rip Hamilton. I know the 3 and D label that he has is lifted, but in terms of his ability to get to his spot mid range, be able to hunt and find zones that he knows he can knock down from. His right corner he loves, the right to mid in between the top of the key he loves, and I'm high on Devin Vassell. I don't want to give up anybody. This I don't want to say this is my dream scenario, but if you draft Duran, which would be the best player available by far. Jalen Duren is a top 5 talent, going to be a top 10 center no matter what in 5 years, guaranteed. I can almost guarantee you another free agency is going to look at Zach LaVine. This man, Jalen Duren, is a backup 5, spiking balls out of bounds. We have a starter level 4 maybe, and Jake LaRavia one day, maybe at 20. 25, you swing at a Hugo Besson combo guard. 38, you trade, get rid of Doug. You now have Primo getting 20 minutes. He's ready for that, slowly, gradually. Devin Vassell, gradually going from 22, maybe 25, 26 as a backup. Keldon earning his bag in his extension year as a starting level small forward. His pressure on his looks will go down with Zach LaVine. But isn't that what you want, to have him make 17, 18 mil, the same amount as DeJounte? You don't want this guy making 20, 22 mil, having these crazy scoring outbursts like how he did. I know that sounds crazy, but from a contract standpoint, you can bring what's his name, a Jalen Smith into this team, to be a backup 4 and get rid of Zach. You can swing and miss on a undrafted free agent that you can take that you feel super high on that no one picked up yet, and bring him into Austin. Probably work him his way into the rotation later on the year if we don't turn out to be good. The type of scenarios that I have for this team are very, very like broad, but that was a great question. I definitely appreciate it.
Can I add one more thing?
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
You kind of bring it up there, and something that I think Spurs fans we need to understand too, and you guys kind of touched on it. It's the financial aspect of it. I mean, at the end of the day, the DeJounte Murray's a free agent in 2 seasons, and he's got. And I've tweeted this, and I get a lot of grief for it, but he's got to be looking at the playoffs. He's got to be looking at Derek White in Boston and thinking, man, that's nice. If the Spurs don't make the playoffs next year, and they end up in the same position they are this year, 8, 9. I think a lot of folks want them to tank, and I'm gonna be very, very honest with you. I am team tank, but I am not team tank. They need to start losing on purpose or bench the guys. I think in order to properly tank, they would have to trade DeJounte Murray. That's the only way they're going to tank. They're not going to lose less than 30 games with DeJounte Murray as their starting point guard. He's getting better, and they're not going to lose less than that. But they're not a championship team yet. So I think that with him being a free agent in 2 summers, they've got to show some strides, because I think he's in a position where he might want to go to a contender. He might want to go to a team. He's got to be looking at Derek White. They're talking, and he sees that. And it as a Spurs fan, it scares me. It's like, all right, we need to start showing some improvements and get out of this 8, 9 lottery spot or 10th seed and play in and start getting to that 6, 7 seed. So it's all financials too, because you got to pay Murray. If we bring Zach LaVine in as a max, you're going to pay him. And then you have only so many available. Then you got Johnson you got to pay. And Vassell takes that jump that he might take. You got to pay him. It becomes a financial juggling session. So I'll leave you guys with that. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Before we get to Jesse, El Ray, you made a very good point. I've been on the train that if we do not show DeJounte, hey, we're taking things serious, we're making strides, we're improving every single year, he's going to want out possibly as soon as next year. His extension is going to be right around the corner. This guy's definitely worth max money, and I want you to remember like the comparisons and the not the comparisons, the do I want to say this, the storyline of DeJounte Murray, his upbringing and his mentality. I said this earlier. His Instagram story spoke volumes to me. You don't piss this man off. He has a killer mentality. I'm not talking the front office. I'm talking like in terms of not just Spurs fans, but around the league. He should definitely made the defensive team, that type of stuff. I know he worries more about his accolades and all the other basic stuff. From a fan standpoint, they may assume that, but we have to look at DeJounte as, hey, if you want to be here, if you want to sign another contract with us, hey man, your jersey could potentially hang on these Raptors. We have a lot of potential on this team, a lot of money, and I know I've said we can swing on this guy this year in free agency. Hopefully we can make this happen. take it a year at a time, take it a day at a time. That is really, and just see what we can do. I'm sorry for that.
Evan, can Primo play one? Can Primo play the one?
No, no, not next year. I'm not buying it. Me and
Evan,
Jesse rep Spurs games.
don't forget who represents Murray too. Clutch Sports.
Oh
I'll
yeah,
leave it at
and
that.
Keldon, yeah, and Keldon. Trust me, Murray.
I was just asking because I was wondering if it's that close, if it might be more value in even trying to trade Murray to see what we can get from him.
Primo had many very, very, very poor showings. Handling the ball at a G League level last year. Granted, that's last year. We'll see what he can work on. But if we see the same words in summer league, he may have to have that stamp that he's a pure shooting guard. I'm buying his ability to bring the ball to court, but not as a pure backup point guard. He basically it's the rookie year nerves. It's the standard stuff. He the retreat dribble is too high. It's at his shoulder. He tries to spin around the guy.
We
He
were
doesn't
saying the
know.
same shit about Murray when he was first playing.
And that's a great point. But here's the thing: Josh Primo, man, is a volume microwave scorer. This dude gets hot really quick. He has a confidence as a vet right now. He showed that in the preseason. I went with Mike in the preseason game. We were going crazy, going absolutely crazy about the type of mentality this guy can have and what he can bring right then and there in like October, literally. So I know Dejounte had a lot of turnover issues his rookie year. He fixed that with time. He was given the reins when Tony Parker was still here. That should speak volume about the confidence that the front office should have in this team. If Primo gets that, we'll see what happens. But I'm not buying it right now, and I'm a Primo stan, bro. I love me some Primo, man. Let me
Well, I was
tell you.
really just talking about like in the future, man, because Primo's probably never going to be an all-star shooting guard. His body type, like I just don't think he'll ever develop into that. Like his ceiling, like if he wants to reach his highest ceiling, it's probably a point guard. Don't you agree with that?
Definitely, but I want to give you this comparison, man. I've said this many times. Primo reminds me of a Tyler Hero mixed with Anthony Simons with defense. That game against Phoenix, man, all those steals, those deflections from Chris Paul and Devin Booker, guys that he's looked up to probably half of his life. And I'm telling you, man, I'm super confident in Primo being a six-man or a starter level guy on this team and being a second or third option possibly. We'll see what happens. We have to get a Jesse. Ben, I can imagine you are dying just like how I am. We've been up here for almost 2 hours. I'm definitely hungry as hell. But we'll get to Jesse, and if anyone has any closing remarks, feel free to request one last time. We'll get one last round of people, and then we will close things out. So, Jesse, what's going on, my man?
Yeah, just to quick run through on a couple of things that have been said recently. Yeah, Primo. I mean, when we saw him in Austin, I thought he was somebody who didn't really run the offense, disappeared for long stretches, but when he started lighting up, and usually in the fourth quarter, he was the guy that was taking over just from a scoring perspective, and also even on defense with the shot blocking at his position. Devin Vassell, I don't see it with him as a rip or Kawhi or a go-to. I just, Kawhi at least had.
Do y'all hear him breaking up a little bit, or is it just me?
Yeah, a lot of it on my end.
Yeah, there's some breakage there.
Yeah, Jesse, if you don't,
He had
might
elite
want to check that
strength.
Wi-Fi. Might want to check that Wi-Fi.
All right.
Go ahead, Jesse. Go ahead.
My
No,
kids are kind of acting up anyway, so I'll just bounce.
feel free to DM me real quick. And hey, are you free to hoop on Monday? You haven't been out there in a minute, man. You free to hoop? For sure, I got you. DM me your question if you want. Got you.
Hoop dates now, huh?
Oh, hey, you don't live in Texas. I'm sorry, you don't live in Texas, bro.
No, I didn't know this was the Hoop Connection Spaces now. This is
Hey,
Evan, you can't hoop, dog. You can't hoop.
oh, what do you? Hey, man, listen. I didn't play varsity basketball, but I'm gonna give you a comparison. I'm a 6'2" Thon maker. Yes, post fades, Corner
See, this
threes.
and this was the problem with all you analysts, bro. You always wanna fucking compare everybody to greats and shit. I didn't heard so many people being compared to Brandon Roy and fucking Rip Hamilton and all this shit, man. Y'all need to pipe down with all that.
No, listen,
You just
I'm
call
with you.
Sunmaker a great. First of
No,
all,
no,
that's
yeah,
my
listen,
question.
that's what I said. Listen, no. I was with Maz Draft in Dallas last weekend, and he was just like, "Yeah, you remind me a lot of Thon Maker. I'm 6'2", I'm fairly skinny, but I can get to the rim. I can knock down a mid range jumper, pull around. You know what I'm saying? That's just me. That's just me. But listen, Seti, when it comes down to it, these comparisons are made based off of stats. I'm looking at Jesse DME said hot take talking about my game. That's hilarious. When it comes down to stats and projections, I'm looking at Rip Hamilton his second and third year, and I'm looking at Devin's second and third year, and his ability to score on all three levels. Devin Vassell flashed, man, posters on a few guys. I didn't know he had that ability, man.
No,
Seriously,
I
that
like him.
kid.
I like Vassell too. I'm just saying, bro. Like,
And
that doesn't
and I
mean
want
he's gonna develop into Rip Hamilton.
but here's the comparison though. I want you to think of his type of style on offense. We don't look for Devin Vassell to get us a bucket, right away. No, he's a second or third option. He'll be coming off the screens. He's a volume shooter. And when he gets hot, we're feeding him every single time. Listen, Devin Vassell is the streakiest shooter on this team, maybe besides Primo. And when he's hot, this kid, like I said, like in the playing game, 7 threes. And he was the sole reason we were still in that game. DeJounte did not lost a step. He was sick, right? He was hurt or something. I forgot. And Devin Vassell almost got us into another game, man. Imagine that playing game in San Antonio. That would have been crazy. I would have been out there. I would have showed up, and I would have done crazy things in terms of free agency standpoints, in terms of projections and
Oh
little.
no, Phoenix lucked out because had we got that 8 seed, we was in their ass. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. We was in their ass.
And we gave them hell at their own place in Phoenix,
I'm
and
not
we.
saying we would have won, but we would have been in that ass.
Hey, facts. Hey, I appreciate the enthusiasm, guys. I think this is a good closing point. This was by far the most people we've ever had. Special shout out to all the people that aren't Spurs fans that have shown love, that have tapped in with us. I can't say more than enough. Besides, thank you. Definitely did not think that we'll be talking for this long, but I definitely appreciate it. We will be back next week. Saturday spaces aren't really a normal. But we had to get this discourse out. We definitely appreciate everyone stopping by, like we said. Ben, you have any closing remarks?
I mean, if people keep showing up like this on a Saturday morning, they might become normal.
Facts, honestly.
Appreciate you all being
Hey,
out here. This has been amazing. I
real
mean, we're
quick,
making we're
real
making
quick,
pickup hoops connections. This is
real
great.
real quick,
Facts.
Ben and Evan. I appreciate y'all. As a Knicks fan, I definitely like to hear information about the other teams' drafts. I gave you a follow, Ben. I'm already following Evan, and Evan follows me back.
My
Feel
man.
free to jump in whenever you guys have the free time on a New York space. You're more than welcome. I appreciate the info and the intel for real.
Yes,
Absolutely.
sir. And we'll talk about that trade 9-11 swap. We'll talk about that. We're gonna figure it out. We need to get Doug or Jay Rich off this team. They screen New York Knicks. Give me Cam Reddish, please. Please give me Cam Reddish, please, and thank you. Sorry, had to.
Well, hey, in the same breath, give me DeJounte Murray, man. Shout out to Clutch Sports because
Ah,
that
Yo,
what happened
guys,
today.
yo.
What happened today? And I love you guys. But what happened today with him not making that all defensive team is a travesty, man. And Clutch Sports is gonna do something about it. No better reason to do something about it than getting him in a big city market, man.
I
I'm
mean,
sorry.
unless you can change who the voters are, I don't know if you're doing anything about it or the way it's done. Because I got a whole diatribe about that, but that's for another space.
Correct. I agree with you, Benny. Thank you, guys. I didn't want to jump in on your closing segments, but thank you, guys.
Hey, no, you're
Absolutely.
good, man. You're good with me. Special shout out to D's. Definitely give him a follow. He owes Nick Spaces. I tap in there a lot, especially the last week, just to give like breaking news in terms of the combine, in terms of all prospects. So if you see me in spaces, I know I join a lot of spaces every single day. Feel free to tap in with anybody who I'm with. These guys are pushing the right agenda, and yeah, I think that's a good closing remark. Appreciate everyone for stopping by. A lot of people stopped by today. Noah, Dylan, Tavarius, Deej, a lot of New York fans. Bad guy is hilarious. Hey, he's I've known that man for a long while, man. He's hilarious, and that's all I got to say. I just appreciate everyone for stopping by, and we'll be back next week.
And if you want to relive it, this is going to be a recorded space too.
Yes, sir. So we'll retweet it. We may even get some graphics out there, and yeah. Stay tuned with us and feel free to DM us any questions, guys. We'll be here to help. We're here to make this process easier so you to understand. So there's not too many surprises come draft night. So you guys have a good rest of your week, and we'll talk soon.